Yo, it's my first video, my first time speaking directly to y'all. I just want to say welcome to my channel. We got a variety of videos coming out in the following weeks, mostly about my life, introducing my people and my memories and shit. And I know we all go through stuff sometimes, and I know we just want to feel like somebody going through it to us, maybe even on the worst scale to put that in perspective. I got some BO3 gameplay with my guys, and the rest of the gameplay is over on my Twitch. We gonna go ahead and hop right into the video, and today we talking about a story time about my car troubles for the past 2 years, and it all started about a year or so ago. After driving my mom's car for what was like the duration of my associates, I finally saved up enough money to get a car, and I started looking at the cars and down payment options, and that shit was like really out of my budget, to be honest. And I didn't have a job, and I was still living with my mom and leeching out my mom in school. So I had money. I wasn't like broke, but she was starting to get tired of that shit. Plus, she had just had her baby, and she had her own stuff going on. And long story short, we get into a typical disagreement, and it turns into, well, you need to get your own. So I'm shit, okay. I get so mad. I'm just saying, okay, I want to get some cheap shit now, something that I can get around, something like a moped, because like that's the type of money I got right now. And this is when I first got it. And all these cars that y'all seeing, these is not my cars. These is my mom's cars I was telling y'all about. And she ain't even got most of these cars, so I can tell y'all that. And this is what the bike sound like. And I didn't have my bike license, and I wasn't going to no damn bike school. And the bike was a manual, but it was like a clone bike, something that was street legal, like some fun shit, like like dirt bikers and all that. Like I was learning anyway, even though that I didn't have a license. And the only every time I had a problem was when I didn't have my license plates or like the stickers and shit on my plates. And that was fun. Like I wanted to feel like Uzi and Meek Millie. For I was really with that knee dragging shit, if you know what I'm talking about. But one day I didn't necessarily crash, but I did do like a U-turn from pavement to like gravel or some shit, and basically cement to like some fucking pebbles, and I ended up tipping the bike over. And thank God I was doing like a rolling speed, and I didn't see anything wrong, but some scratches to the bike and me. And like the bike had fell on my leg, and my forearm had hit the road, and this dude was coming out of his house, and I was already embarrassed enough. Plus I was in like the hick country and shit. I don't know if I can say, but yeah, I was in hick country, so I picked myself up, took my ass back to the crib. But that did scare the shit out of me, and like suddenly I didn't want to ride as much as I used to. And like people was stopping at stop signs and doing these wide ass turns, and like that shit really just put you in the first person. And now I was at a point where I wanted to sell it. But as I'm getting it ready, I'm starting to notice that the bike don't stay on for too long. Like it'll start up and run, but you gotta give it some gas, and that shit was just my luck. I do some diagnostics myself. I watch some videos, and eventually I realize I got a warranty. So I tell them what's wrong, and they send me a part, like an intake manifold. So now I gotta see like what shops is near me so that cause I can't drive the bike, so I'm gonna have to rent a whole fucking U-Haul plus the trailer. And what they don't tell you is you gotta get the straps too, cause like and shit, it just be a whole process. And still we had to ended up lay the bike down because that shit had failed twice, and it had broke both of the mirrors, and gas was leaking, all types of shit. And then I take it to the place close to me with some like decent, more than likely now that I think about it, like fake Google reviews and shit. But they did ask me like what was wrong with the bike, and I tell them it don't need no diagnosis. This is just a part, and this is exactly what I need. And we're gonna hold off on that for now because that was like over a year ago, so we're gonna have to come back to that. But I get around to buying my first car, which I'll show you. Boom, that's my baby. This is like a jerk third gen Eclipse. It was the one from Fast and Furious 2, I think. It was Tyrese or Roman's car. And like most of my love for cars really stems from like my childhood and playing like Midnight Club and like the dub edition, all that shit. Like I really love that shit. So for me, like this was a great option. No matter what nobody say, this shit made me happy. Plus it was a manual, and this was the summer, and this was like the best time to learn. So for me, this is gonna be my project car. It's where I'm gonna learn how to do all of the car shit I always wanted to do. Uh, and I got the car, and I finally got the shifter down, and I started to getting to want to go faster, right? And this is when I found out that my girlfriend is pregnant with my little girl. And I ain't want to know at the time, but yeah, we had been together for 2 years and she ain't know how to drive. So I did what any man would do, and I took that money that I was gonna spend on my car stuff and I brought her an all-wheel drive truck for the winter. And she had just started school and a new job, and I just got her something that was like old that she can beat up, you know. And I didn't get her reaction video, but on that day she definitely cried. And if I can pay for that shit a million times, you know, it was I can definitely see it was very much appreciated. You feel me? And as you can see, I was supposed to been release this video, but yeah, that truck you saw in the beginning, that's the truck. Even though we did like a bunch of shit to it, like trust me, we really decked it out. But when I went to check the car out, I noticed it had its issues, but it wasn't nothing I feel like we can't fix, which was like a learning experience for both of us. I took the car to a shop with a ton of good reviews to get a full checkup, and they say the brakes are shot. So I'm okay, like 1250 for that, no problem. Plus a diagnosis. Okay, go home. Check engine light comes on, goes back. It's your fuel cap plus diagnosis. Okay, go home. Check engine light. It's the fuel injectors plus diagnosis. But not only that, but they say after they got my money that they done work on the car because the sub is rotted through. And I'm well, okay. That's when I lost my shit. I'm not just gonna keep paying for diagnosis for y'all to keep telling me some shit wrong and then I fix it and then, you know what I'm saying, I'm back in the same position. But I still bought all the parts we needed, and my mom had took me to her hood mechanic, which was like this cool dude who worked out his garage or his crib. And like this is where my heart sank, cause he had told us the car was junk and the sub was rotted through and the wheel bearings was beyond repair, and basically his equipment it wouldn't be worth it. But of course, I'm like that, and I just didn't take his opinion. I shoulda, but I didn't, and he was the only person that I felt like in the end was truly honest with me. And I just had problems with reviews, and I was hoping for a reference or a word of mouth would be better. And my girl had said her dad used to sell cars, and he had a person he uses regularly to fix his cars. So okay, we go meet them, and right off the back they friendly and they talk about the baby and how we doing, and they tell us they can fix everything that's wrong for 1,000. And as I told you before, we already had the parts for the sub, but you know they was right next to a junkyard, and we really thought we was getting a deal. Okay, cool. So the car gone for a couple weeks, and this really should have been the first red flag. But I guess her dad is known for like leaving cars up there like it's a storage lot or something. And mind you, we had already gave them the down payment. You know these shops ain't working without that money first. But they had called us, or they called me while I was at work, and they tell us that we need to get it today, and every day we don't pay, it's gonna be a holder fee added to our total. And I'm like, damn, I've never heard of a shop doing that before. But I basically told her I was at work clearly, and if she got my other car, that's clearly my second car for my girlfriend to pick up. But cool, we ended up getting the car that day. I took a break or whatever. And I get it back and I don't check it because it seems like, we family. And I do the little quick glance and it's flashing. It seems like everything in place. I don't give it the full, but yeah, And everything is cool for the time being. And there's an issue with the muffler, like after I hit a speed bump or some shit going to work. And I ended up MacGyvering that shit with a hanger. And eventually that shit gave in. And that's when she had said she noticed it was leaking gas, and they told us that the gas tank failed and she needed it to be replaced because they can't drive. And then my Eclipse cooling system had just blew up, and I couldn't figure out the problem, so I had to take it to go get some extra work. Since I'm there, I had that gasket, wheel bearing, tire rod, suspension, all of which I had already brought my parts. Shout out to Rock Auto, you already know. And I took it to them the first time, and then I got my car back, and my shit was just like fucking wheezing. I mean, like gasping for air, gasping, bro. And I thought it would go away, and eventually, and it never did. And then the check engine light came on, and I took it back. And mind you, they had been keeping my car for month to month in between repairs, so I almost never had the two cars at the same time. And she keeps sending me off on days, telling me when I could swap the cars and shit, and alternating on the repairs. And I get my clips back and I see the screws and the clamp on the seat. But I'ma let y'all hold on to that. I bet I need something for that. But so now we get to a later date, and both of my cars don't have any problems, but my brakes that supposedly got replaced at the 1250 place, It was still under warranty, of course. I took them back to the original shop to get them checked out. And these motherfuckers said the car looked the exact same way it did when it rolled in the shop last year with the same brake specialist and everything. They told me that the car is unsafe to work on or drive, and it was just hidden. All the work was hidden by the splash guard. So of course I call him and I'm losing my shit, bro. I'm calling the girl mad and she's making up every excuse in her book and just feeding me BS. And we had at this time we had already spent like over 2,000, lady. And I had told her about what the other shop says and even got that shit in writing. And she says, "Oh, don't trust these companies. They will scam you." Bitch, you scam me. And I'm showing her the receipts and she just like, the work not written on there. And it's like, you wrote it, lady. You put all these magic numbers on here. And once she had started talking about Jesus and being God fearing, I knew. I just knew. You feel me? Because I used to use the same script, you know. That's a different story, but yeah. And she just say, like, if y'all feel like that, then y'all could bring the car back up here and she'll take a look at it. And so we do. And we get there and her husband there to confront us about the receipts that we do have. And I start yelling at her and her husband. At this point, I'm not even caring. And my girlfriend's trying to calm me down. So, yeah, I just dropped the car off and I'm on my way to take my girlfriend and my baby home. Then on my way back, because I like to run errands on my break, my damn whole cold air intake detaches and cuts off my engine. And I'm steady trying to restart this hot ass car that just cut off on the side of the road with my baby and girlfriend in the back. This is a fucking convertible coupe. And now the engine just went dead, can't convert the coupe and shit. And eventually I get out and I see this and I go all the way back to the place and I remember they left a random ass clamp and screws in my seat. And silly me thinking it's like, you know how you buy some furniture and they leave you some extra screws and shit just in case. Like, I'm thinking it's some mechanic shit. But nah, bro, that's like my whole motherfucking car gang. And I bring it back and I get even, I can't even get even more mad than I already am. Like, if you heard the video, I said LOL, bro. That shit was just really fat. It's like hilarious. And I had already put the holes on myself and quick fix the shit back. And they talking about, yeah, we'll look at it. And they give me the shit back. The shit got all types of zip ties and shit on it. Like, just hood rigged my shit. And that was just for my cars. Quick update on my bike. It's been almost 2 years. And I've been trying to sell my bike and I can't because I can't get that bitch back. And it was okay for the cool little storage for the winter, but I've been calling for like every month for a year, and they finally got somebody new, and they put the responsibility on them, and then quote after quote on personnel, personally, this person to personally handle it themselves and power. Yeah, this shit is just crazy. So then I call and they say the bike is fixed, but did it come with a panel? And I'm like, yes, motherfucker, it came with a panel. Like, how you think it was? And then they say they gotta back order it, and yeah, now I'm in the same position in the current day, right now as we speak. And these people is like fucking terrorists to the common man. Like, they real life vultures that eat people's souls when they already down out, like the worst people. Like, I really learned how to sift through reviews and the bullshit to get to the real ones, because usually the worst ones is closer to the truth, and that's just being honest. But long story short, it's been months. I just put the truck up. The Eclipse is sold, and I'm over that shit now. And I have no real insight on what they did or didn't do. I just feel like I see why people buy new cars, and like, I like to own my cars, but that shit is giving me nothing but trouble. So I'm gonna go a different route. And no matter if I did the work myself or found somebody like that was quote unquote reputable, it just felt like it was too much going on. I think now I just wanna buy a car for a family, and then I just wanna lease one for income. You know, um, I did just everything I needed to with the one car we got now, and how our household works. One person is always home with the baby, so but that's it. Yeah, that's the end of this horror story for now. Hopefully you learned some, you know. New video, same time next week. I'll talk to y'all later.